Welcome to Staffing Stories, hosted by Andy Moss. Andy has been in the staffing industry for over 25 years, first as a recruiter, then eventually an account manager and business owner. This is the podcast where we sit down with fellow staffing owners to get the real stories of the successes, the failures, and the lessons learned along the way.
Welcome back to Staffing Stories. I'm your host, Andy Moss, and I am extremely just blessed today just because I get to keep doing this podcast, and I love it so much, and I've met some amazing people, and I encourage you, if you're in the staffing industry and you're senior leadership, ownership, and you want to come on and share your story, send me an email, andy@3diq.com. I'd love to meet new people and have you share just your Genesis story and how you got into this crazy world. But today we've got Miss Kimberly Laipple from Scientific Search, and I'm extremely excited about her because she is a proud 3DIQ partner of ours, and she loves our product, and I also love her story, so I wanted to have her on. So welcome.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. So for all the listeners out there, just introduce yourself for us.
Sure. My name is Kim Laipple. I'm an SVP and Managing Director for Scientific Search. I run a boutique firm that's about 25 people currently, and we focus specifically in the pharmaceutical and life science sector. We are not niched by discipline, but by industry. So in order to service our clients effectively, we have several people that run accounts like myself. And then we have a variety of recruiters niched in a variety of disciplines. So clients have a one-stop shop with me, and then I make sure the right recruiters are on those roles. And I've been here for 15 years.
That's awesome. And your staff has been with you quite a while too, if I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Our tenure is phenomenal. It's one of the things I like to mention to people. As you and I know, it's a churn and burn industry for a lot of people. And I have people that have been here longer than me, some 20, 18, several at that 15 mark, several at 10. And even my junior staff has got some great staying power now with several years under their belt.
All right. So what's the magic? And you got to download because everybody's probably going, well, how does she do that?
Yeah. So I would say one of the things that was really important to preserve our culture and to create the right team aspect was we don't internally compete. And, we are full believers that there's plenty of competition outside these doors.
Yep.
So I know a lot of firms sometimes have 2, 3 recruiters internally working one job and presenting candidates against it. Each of our recruiters is dedicated to the jobs on their desk. Okay. If they share candidates because they care about the company, the candidates, and each other, and not because there's something in it for them. So we've made sure that people have not only the ability to work the search and not to send anybody to compete against somebody next to them, but find the right quality candidates for our clients, as well as have a clear career path no matter what they're looking to do. We don't require people to do business development. We don't require people to run a 360 desk. They have an opportunity to have a variety of different paths that suit their experience or their passion the best.
Now, did you target individuals coming from that life science, medical world? I mean, or was it just?
No, sure didn't.
Okay.
So over the years, obviously the profile shifts a lot, but we really look for people that have somewhat of a fire in their belly, whatever that is for. So coming out of college, a lot of times we look for athletes, people that work through college, people that have the ability to manage maybe multiple majors if they didn't work, something showing their ability to use good time management.
Yep.
And the ability to prioritize, right? Because, in our job, you could have 10 searches on your desk, and if you can't kind of prioritize and follow the money, things get lost real fast. So that kind of profile, for example, waiting tables.
Yeah.
is a great industry to pull from because they're used to having a commission driven position and they're
The
used to
stress.
managing with stress
Yes.
and competing priorities, right? This one needs dessert, these need water refills, their
Yeah.
dinner's wrong. How do you balance that? How do you make everyone happy simultaneously? And so that's typically what we look for.
I've had some luck with bartenders, if you can pull them away
Great
from the bar,
profile.
but I mean, I'm just saying
Mhm.
that's very similar.
Yes,
Build a relationship, someone sit in front of you, plus,
yes.
handle everything behind the bar. So
You're
that's
looking at a
awesome.
bartender.
Yeah.
I bartended for a long time. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So going back to when you started in the recruiting industry, what
Yeah.
pulled you in?
So initially, I didn't even know what I was interviewing for. Dating myself, there was no internet, and we used, newspaper ads. We looked at to find jobs, and you paid by the word. So there was almost nothing in the description that I faxed a resume for and got a call. I got a business degree. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know the industry existed. And I sent my resume into a home care firm and they brought me in and sat me down at a desk and said, here are people that are nurses and here are people that need nurses. And your job is to match them up and make sure the schedules are full. And I said, "I can do that. I do a shift schedule for the restaurant now. I mean, I can do that." And then I started doing that. I did home care staffing for 4 years. I did facility staffing with nurses, which was a grind for another 8. I ran 3 locations, call outs 10 o'clock at night, 5 in the morning, carrying a pager back when pagers were a
Yeah.
thing, and stopping at a payphone to make calls, and it was rough. And I knew that I loved what I did, but I knew I needed an avenue to do it in the next step up. And I found this and I'm hooked. I mean, day one, there was never a doubt that this was what I was meant to do.
I think that's the switch that has to go off in a recruiter is to get through it enough to where it's okay, I can make a career at this, and they
Yeah,
understand the grind that it takes to do what we do. Because
sure.
there's a method to the madness, but it is madness sometimes because we're dealing with people and the human
Hmm.
factor come into play way more than any other product you can sell. So
Absolutely.
if they can make it a year and a half, it kind of gets in the blood to say, okay, you can make a living at this.
That's absolutely accurate. I always say like a year and a half to 2 years and you're in.
Yep, you're in.
And it's very rare that you're going to leave. Somebody once said to me, we sell the only commodity that chooses whether they can be sold. And it's not like you go to the car dealership and somebody gets in a car and the car goes, I don't want
Yeah,
to go home with
I don't
her.
want them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's a nuanced sell. And I think that's part of what makes it so exciting for the people that love it
Yeah.
because you're constantly being challenged in unique and interesting ways.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about a topic of marketing and sales,
Sure.
because I know right now sales is top of mind for most agencies.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, Walk me through your vision of sales and kind of what you try to do in building a relationship with new business, new companies.
Sure. So it's always something that I'm focused on because I guess, a lot of people enjoy that initial cold outreach and getting someone live. And that has never been my favorite part of the job.
Yeah.
But I really love account development. I really love becoming part of a company, becoming, an inner working. When a client mentions to me that they hear my name in the halls by other departments or they can't believe how many people I've placed, that's kind of where I get my fix per se from the business development. So a lot of what I do is very strategic and less salesy.
Yeah.
And I find that it's more suited to me. So I do I spend a lot of time informing companies about the market. Work with them on glass door reviews, even if they're not my client yet. work with them on what market trends we're seeing and building relationships based on trust and knowing that I'm not just here to send you a couple resumes and take a fee and walk away and hope they make it through the guarantee.
Yeah.
I'm actually here to build an organization with you.
Isn't it amazing the length of time we've been in this industry? Your new managers are people you placed 10 years ago, and you're a familiar name and company, and they like, oh, I'll just call Kim.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to me. And it's just, it's, you came out of college when I first placed you. Now you're an engineering manager.
I know. I had somebody message me the other day that I spoke at a college like 8 years ago, teaching them how to use their LinkedIn profile to land their first job. And she reached out to me to let me know where her career was and the impact I made in that hour in the room with her. And, how rewarding that is. The money, obviously, that's what we all start with, is to earn a living. The impact that we have is so much greater.
And I work with our young recruiters as like, look, you're not going to place, if you talk to 10 people, you'll place one of them. But what are the other 9 saying about the interaction with you? Are they saying, man, that recruiter at Enforce or Andy, they helped me. They may not have placed me, but that's where your company grows, is the reputation of the other 9, not the one.
Absolutely. And I think that's super important right now as we're seeing a shift in the market. I think that, a lot of our younger recruiters have never had a market where there's any availability of people. So they're going to need to develop that skill set where you are speaking to somebody that you cannot help at that moment. And how does that impact your desk, and how do you make the appropriate time for those relationships, because they do matter long term?
Absolutely. So another quick question about technology. You've seen this industry over the last 25 years go from Rolodexes and phone books and fax machines to, everything's digital. I mean, we didn't have LinkedIn when we first started this.
No.
Did you?
No, it's I didn't even have a computer. LinkedIn. We didn't have computers. Phone books, and
file
you did what
stacks
you did.
This high.
Yeah, we still laugh. Yeah, we joke sometimes still how we used to walk around with a file and say, okay, well, I placed such and such. Well, here's my stack from that search. You can work through that. You give it to a colleague. I think there's positives and negatives to both. I think that, we built relationships, speaking live to people. And now we're crossing generational gaps in figuring out ways to effectively communicate with people at a variety of ages. And, the only thing that we have control over in that situation is ourselves and how we adapt to others. And some people don't adapt well and don't want to change the way they do things. And, that's okay, because it makes more room for some of us that are trailblazers in that area. But yeah, technology has been amazing because it allows us to facilitate the help that we provide to even more companies and more clients, where we just couldn't have done it prior. There just wasn't enough hours in the day, and automation and things like that have made it much easier.
When we first got into business, we were throwing bodies at things, hire more recruiters. Now I'm hiring great recruiters, but then I'm giving them tools to make them even stronger. So less bodies, but better ones. And that's what I think tech has brought to our industry, and is continuing to bring to our industries. How do I make 100%. This recruiter, use their time wisely, make more placements, because that's all ultimately what we want, and then make their life easier. I mean, I've sat in that desk. I know it sucks.
That's it. And I still run a full desk. I still bill on top of everything else I do, because I'm not ready to step away yet. I'm getting closer and closer as the years go on. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely how do we streamline and make people more efficient? How do we maximize their day and allow them to achieve their goals without having to work into the evening hours every day?
Yeah.
And I mean, you and I were on the phone every night in the beginning because you couldn't even get people at work.
Yep.
There were no cell phones to call people on. You had to call them at work and they weren't there at night. So you had to call them at
Yeah.
home.
You left a voicemail and
And
then they call you back
yeah,
at 4:30,
right.
5, 6.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's definitely, when people say technology replaces people, it doesn't. It just improves the performance of the good ones.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome information. I really appreciate you taking time to at least, talk to us. And again, you're an
Yeah,
avid 3DIQ user, and we always
love
appreciate your
it.
business, and your business is done so well. So again, thank you for being
Yeah,
on Staffing Stories and kind of
absolutely.
sharing with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hang tight for this next segment of our Staffing Stories episode, where we hear directly from one of our 3DIQ clients.
All right, Kim, let's talk a little bit shop. You're a
Sure.
3DIQ user. You've been with us for multiple years.
Mhm.
Give me the good and bad.
Yeah, absolutely. People always say like, what's the game changer tech thing on your desk? And I'm part of the Pinnacle Society, which is the top 80 recruiters in the country, which is obviously something I'm very proud of. And I'm part of the tech committee there, and we do a lot of tech talk. We
Yeah.
talk about a lot of programs and whatnot. And I think the area that the need that you've met is unique first, obviously. Second, I think it's something that recruiters miss out on adding value there, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that always drove me crazy was we would spend time typing a presentation, we would send it over to the client, we'd put our header on the resume,
Mhm.
and they were printing that resume and handing it to somebody. And the information that we put together never made it to the people that mattered. And we'd get 3 interviews deep, and somebody would say, "Well, what are they looking for from a salary perspective?"
Yeah.
And you tell them, and they're like, "Well, we can't pay that." "Well, why were you interviewing?" "Well, I didn't know what they needed." So, okay, so that's one thing. So, obviously that was a big obstacle. Second, when you add a header with your language and everything to a resume, it messes up the font a lot of
Yeah.
times or the formatting. So I would go back and quality check some of the things that were going out. And I was mortified that the formatting wasn't corrected or that we were making someone's resume look like that. So areas like that, we found 3DIQ, implemented it, and having the ability to take a resume, not only the resume, but your presentation, not only the presentation, but our internal notes
Yep.
that we need, and put that into one format. Have our branding on there so we don't have to worry if somebody puts the resume somewhere, everybody knows where it came from. Our contact information all in one centralized location. That alone sold me. And then to learn that by a click of a button, I was going to get clean documentation in my system. I was not only going to get a presentation in my system, I was going to get the notes that the recruiter put in there. And then it was going to provide a link. So no more messing with attachments, no more worrying if somebody has a PDF or a Word doc and can somebody open it on their phone. And then on top of that, they would have to reach back out to me to let me know if they were interested. So 3DIQ, just in that, multiple things. So now I can send a resume. The internal notes are not visible to the end user. They're only visible to us. Presentation is, if I catch a mistake, I can go into the 3DIQ system, change the presentation, click save. And when that client clicks that link, they never know I made a mistake.
Yeah.
It holds its integrity in that email. It's documenting in the system, which is so important. And it's also letting me know when people open the resume.
That's
Like, what a
always good.
game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so for example, one of the things that we noticed is that, sometimes clients put a job on hold, and when they go to reopen it, the first thing they do is go back and look at the candidates that were
Yep.
on hold. I can't tell you the number of jobs we filled by knowing that someone was opening the candidates from a previous search and me picking up the phone and just waiting a few hours so it's not too creepy.
Yeah.
I was saying, hey, I was wondering if you're going to reopen
Yeah.
that search,
I saw you clicked on her resume, and
Yeah, yeah.
but that's money. That's
That
money we
is
were missing.
money. A
Yeah.
100%. I'm actually engaged on a search now that was over a year old. That's how I ended up back on the search. And then the documentation piece. We know salespeople are notoriously awful at documentation. We just want to do what we do. So I constantly had kind of a little inner struggle here where, Jane would send a candidate. 2 weeks later, John would go to send them, and there were no notes in the system. And John was embarrassed asking the candidates the same thing over and over again. Not only does it not look good from a consistency standpoint, but it's time consuming. We want to be able to move faster, all of those things. My recruiters can actually collaborate with one another on candidates now because the documentation is there. And what better way to build a team than have people work synergistically together with real data that they've
Yeah.
recorded?
And now,
So yeah, it's been a game changer.
and recruiters are a lot, I don't know if you're still in the office, but this work
Yeah,
from home recruiter and being
yeah,
able to communicate that we kind of came in right when all this was happening. So
right.
that team is huge, and being able to type in notes and internally communicate that stays within the system is
Absolutely.
now you're
Absolutely. Yes. We do have some that are remote. We have some that are hybrid, a variety of different schedules, and it's definitely helpful from that end.
we early on with 3DIQ, I was always just very fanatic about my brand. I
Mhm.
wanted to set myself apart from the
Sure.
competitors. And if all the competitors were sending pieces of paper with logos on it, what makes us different? Because, we're charging, 15, 20 grand for these people, these
Right.
engineers. And I always had to, man, you just sent me a piece of paper with it,
Right.
and so now we say we're using a lot of tech. That's, we want to make it easier for our clients to give us
Yeah.
feedback,
Yeah.
not make it harder. Less clicks. They can just,
Yeah.
we're all out here to make money, and feedback is where the money's made.
Absolutely. And, there's something to be said for, if you think about what we do, right? You're sitting at your desk, and in your mind, all that client has to do is look at your candidates. Like, that's how recruiters think. Why haven't they gotten back to me? It's been an hour. They have a whole job that they do.
Yeah.
Interviewing candidates is such a small part. So a lot of times that feedback is done in the evenings at the soccer field, watching TV. And if they can give me feedback through a quick form that loads, is interactive right on their phone. And then I get not only their feedback as to why they like them, but their availability and their email address. I don't even have to bother them the next morning. I just get it on their calendar.
We one of the best things when I talk to Tim, we know the best day of the week, the best time of week to get
Mhm.
feedback, and it's Tuesday at 2
Yep.
o'clock.
I know,
Is
he sent me that. It's so funny, right?
Yeah, it's like Tuesday at 2. If
Yeah,
you have a hot resume, send it at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, and you'll get feedback.
so funny. Yeah, it's so funny. And the highest day for applicants to apply, according to some of my platforms, is Monday mornings
Yeah, I mean,
when
they
they
go
get
home,
back
they
to
go on the
work and they're
weekend, they talk to
miserable.
everybody about how bad their job is, and they go in
Yeah,
Monday morning and
yeah.
do that. So one of
Hmm.
our newest product is skill marketing. Is so
Great.
that
Yeah.
that that the market is changing a little bit now, where there's more
Mhm.
candidates, and
Sure.
3DIQ is from that sales, and it's kind of a game changer with actually taking candidates to the market, not
Yes.
working off of a job, but saying, okay, I've got Susie.
Yep.
Susie works for about 10, could work for about 10
Hmm.
hospitals. And
Sure.
what we're able to do now is send that person to all 10
Yes.
in one click.
Yeah, that has been really important. One of the things that we noticed in all of our marketing initiatives and any outreach we do is the responses that we get when we're reaching out to companies that we don't currently work with are on candidates.
Yep.
NPCing is something that's been in our business forever and it's never going to go away. And I think one of the reasons for that is, a lot of times there are positions that can't be advertised. It could be an upgrade in talent. It could be
Yep.
something coming down the line. It could be something they've been thinking about but haven't decided if they need it. So it's very opportunistic when it lines up. So with the 3D IQ skill marketing, I have the ability to professionally present somebody that I know is really good in our space. Now I can do a search in our ATS and find companies that are within the commutable distance she's okay with, especially if it's going to be an on-site role, right? Or maybe it's companies of a certain size that I want to find for her. Or maybe it's of a certain therapeutic area since I work in the life sciences. Maybe she only wants oncology or whatever the case may be. I can do a search in our ATS, and since 3D IQ is embedded in our ATS, we can then go from there and skill market that candidate to the right people at the right time with a matter of a few clicks instead of having to consistently write up new documents, send them out. And honestly, when I have to do it that way, I do a lot less of it.
Yeah.
But 3D IQ has streamlined that to a point where it's very easy to get those rock star candidates out to as many people as that apply to what they're looking for.
Well, I talk about how we turn our recruiters that run the recruiter desk, and we're turning them into sales reps by saying, hey, give me a tear sheet of your most marketable individuals in manufacturing, and then we can send that list to another tear sheet of managers of manufacturing. And like you said, everybody loves to see top talent, and we blind it up. We're not sending full resumes, we're sending snippets, like little teaser emails. So it's a great way to kind of, in my eyes, put your talent out there, and the market's switching now to where that's going to be better. I mean, that's going to be what we're going to have to do.
Absolutely. And what better way to show a client that you're not trying to waste their time by just telling them what, they've heard 9 million times, but to actually bring value to their inbox. Actually show them something that could add value to them today. It's definitely a great tool.
Well, we love that you're one of our best customers, and I love your story. I love talking to you, and I really appreciate you coming on today and just kind of chatting with us.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. My pleasure. I'm always here to help any way I can. You guys have been fantastic. The way you're able to implement things that I need at my desk from 3D IQ and the changes that have happened over the time, it's just been phenomenal, and I absolutely love working with you guys.
Well, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the week and weekend.
You too, Andy. Take care.
The Staffing Stories podcast is brought to you by 3D IQ, founded by recruiters for recruiters. 3D IQ's industry-leading product suite complements your submission process in Bullhorn from start to finish and helps you deliver a cutting-edge customer experience. Triple your placements with our powerful resume submission platform, candidate marketing, and client portal. Visit 3diq.com/stories to learn more.